All right, welcome to video 3 of lesson 8, module 6, grade 5, of course. And we're going to go back to coordinate plane C and check that one out. Remember, we had 1, 0, 3, 2, 5, 4, and we're going to look at those coordinates. See if we can squeeze it all on there. You can look at both of them at once. So our coordinates are 1 and 0, 3 and 2, 5 and 4. And what if our x was 25? What would our y be? It's a good puzzle, right? Think about the patterns that we've been working on. You can see, right, in both the coordinate plane here and also here, that on each of these, on that one we're adding 2, and on this one we're adding 2. But is that going to help us to know the x here? I mean, we could count all the way up till this one is at 25, right? We could make a big graph, but is there an easier way? Can we look at the pattern between these two? Right? So in this case, our y is 1 less than our x. Do you notice that? So if our y is 1 less than our x, and our x is 25, what is our y? 24. I can hear you yelling it at your screen. Good job. Okay, now if our y is 100, and our y is 1 less than our x, what is our x? 101. All right. See, this is a great example of something that's not too difficult once you understand the patterns, but could seem like a really hard problem on like an SBAC or end of module exam. But you know the pattern, so you got the secret, right? Okay, awesome. I love that. Let's look at number 3 in your Learn Book Magnifying Glass. I know there's a lot of magnifying glass questions for lesson 8, so we're working on them. This is basically what it looks like, and we have questions A through F, and then I think we'll be finished with these lessons. So thanks for hanging in there. I appreciate you. You can see we have 3 points. We have, oh, and also, sorry, my lines are not the best, but also we have, each one is broken into 3 parts. So we're going to be dealing with thirds today, right? So we're starting at 2 and then 1/3, and 2 and 2/3, 1, and 3 and 1/3, 1 and 2/3. Okay, so we're dealing with some fractions, and we can handle that, right? So letter A says describe the movement from one point to the next. All right, so from one point to the next, that means from here to here, but we're not going to go diagonally, right? We're going to go across and up, just like our ordered pairs. So how far are we going across? Now remember, they're broken into thirds, so we're going across by 2/3 and up by 2/3. Okay, so for letter A, right, we're going to the right 2/3 units and up 2/3 units. Okay, you got that? Awesome. Let's look at B. What is the rule for the x coordinate? What are we doing to go from one x coordinate to the next x coordinate? We're adding 2/3. So we could make one of those little charts, right, so that it's easier to see x and y. And we have 2 is our x, and our y is 1/3. Then our next x is 2 and 2/3, 2/3, and our y is 1. And then our next x is 3 and 1/3, and our y is 1 and 2/3. Okay, so you can see you're adding 2/3, you're adding 2/3. right? So our pattern for the rule for the x coordinate is add 2/3. Yeah? I don't know. I think it might be kind of fun. Are you finding it kind of fun? C, what is the rule for the y coordinate? How do we get from 1/3 to 1? We add 2/3. How do we get from 1 to 2/3? We add 2/3. And these patterns are always going to be the same. So if the math is kind of difficult, right? If you're challenged by fractions, you could do one that's a little easier. 1 plus something equals 1 2/3, right? Okay. Use the rules for the, C is add 2/3. And then D, use the rules for the coordinates to plot the next 3 points in the coordinate plane. Okay, so adding 2/3. So we're going to go from here, we're going to add 2/3 to the right and adding 2/3 up. 2/3 to the right, 2/3 up, 2/3 to the right, 2/3 up. And it's also going to make a straight line, so you could double check and make sure that you're going 2/3 to the right, 2/3 up, 2/3 to the right, 2/3 up. Why am I saying 2/3 when it's really 2 blocks? Because you can see that each block is broken into 3 parts, right? Each block is thirds on this particular graph because of the way it's set up. Okay, almost done. Use the rules for the coordinates to plot the 3 points. What are the ordered pairs for those 3 points? So we have 4, 2 1/3. 4 2/3, 3. 2/3, 3. And 5 1/3. 3 2/3. All right, very good. And then we have E. Fill in the blanks to describe the relationship between the x and the y coordinates. Between the x and the y coordinates, what is the relationship there? Maybe let's get one with bigger numbers. Let's look at 5 1/3 and 3 2/3. Okay, so let's look at 5 1/3 and 3 2/3. Let's say the x coordinate in letter E, fill in the blank. The x coordinates are how much more than the corresponding y coordinates. All right, so how much more would it be? Add 1/3 to there and you're going to get up to 4. And then, so that's 1/3, right? So then 4 plus 1 is going to be 5. And 1 more third would be 5 1/3. So 1 2/3. X coordinate is 1 2/3 more than the y coordinate. Or you could have done it the other way. The y coordinate is 1 2/3 less than the x coordinate. Okay, letter F, let's finish it up. When the x coordinate is 10, what is the corresponding y coordinate? So 10, what is the y? And show how you know. So we know that our x is 1 2/3 more than our y. So we would have to do 10 minus 1 2/3 to find the y. So 10 minus 1 is 9. 9 minus 2/3 is 8 and 1/3. So 8 and 1/3, right? Okay, awesome job, you guys. I hope you understand some of the patterns that you can find when you are working with coordinate grids, and you can find your patterns not only going through the X's, through the Y's, but also between the X's and the Y's. Awesome job. Thanks for watching. Aloha.